Hey everybody, hope you're well. It's James here, over the Part-Time Entrepreneur and Crypto Rookies. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the Bitcoin parabolic move. We're going to have a look historically what's happened before. We're also going to have a look at some ETFs. So what happened to gold and what was the impact there and how can that play out into Bitcoin? And also, what are the predictions that are coming out from YouTubers and the professionals? And then also my point of view. I'm feeling So Bitcoin hit $20,000 and everybody was astonished because nobody thought it could get there. Everyone was calling 10 and then, it's that psychological barrier and it would come back. And again, I thought exactly the same. I never thought it would get that high, but when it did, it obviously came back down with a bit of a bump. Now it did start at $946 at the start of 2017, and as we've seen, it just went on an absolute run. And it was really sort of like late November that we really started to see the action. We've seen 1,950% growth over the year, which was absolutely nuts. Now, if you start looking at stuff like Ethereum, it went from $8 to $1,000. The increase there was much, much bigger. But the real focus was on Bitcoin. That just performed one of the biggest parabolic moves in a long time. So the Bitcoin rise was just an unsustainable rate. The exponential growth was just huge. Nothing that anyone had seen like this before. Now, when we have a parabolic move, it's very, very simple. First of all, you have the move itself, then you have the price correction, and then you have the price establishing. Now, at this moment in time, I think we're in that price established stage where the price of Bitcoin has been very, very stable, and everything is a cycle. The seasons are cycles, and also investing is in cycles as well. So it's just knowing in which part of the cycle that you're in, and it'll also give you a good indicator of when to buy as well. Now, just to show how good Bitcoin is as an investment, if we look at some of the other things that you could have invested in, there's some big things here: Microsoft, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Netflix, and you put $1,000 in, this is what you would have got back right now. And obviously Netflix is the biggest by a country mile. Blockbusters were offered Netflix at a swipe of a price and they turned it down, saying it would never work. Now they're gone and they probably feel a little stupid. Now Netflix is so big. If you'd bought Bitcoin on the 17th of 7th 2010 and you just invested $1,000, well, you'd be sitting on 120 million right now. There's nobody out there that wouldn't want to, and there's a lot of people going, I wish I'd bought more back then and all the rest of it. I think one thing that we do know is that current currency is not working. It is completely deflationary. So my chain of thought is very different to my parents. My parents are very much save, put your money in the bank, get you 1% a year, jobs are good and type thing. But over time, it's just worth less and less. And unfortunately, now they used to go on loads of holidays. Now they don't, because that money just isn't worth what it used to be. However, with Bitcoin, we're seeing a completely different trend. The scarcity element, all the rest of it. You don't get quantitative easing with Bitcoin, which is great, and it will just keep rising in price. Now, the only thing that really strikes me is the whole energy piece with Bitcoin and the proof of work. There's a whole focus on the environment. Like plastic is a hot topic at the moment. If you've watched any of David Attenborough's programs recently, how it's affecting the planet. And also, if Bitcoin when it gets to that last coin, all the Bitcoin machines will be taking up something like 1/3 of the world's energy just to mine the last coin. Now, one is probably going to be worth a fortune, but at the same time, I don't think that's really acceptable. So I think there's two sides of the coin here as such. There's the whole play of, people are going to invest in it and all the rest of it, but then there's the environmental element on the side, because people say you can't stop Bitcoin, but you could ban Bitcoin machines, and then that becomes an issue. So, there's still risk reward with this, definitely over the next few years. Now, if we look at some parabolic moves, so I've gone back, looked historically, because that's what I like to do, because history will tell you what's going to happen next. Like I said, everything is cycles. If we look at Valiant Pharmaceuticals, obviously they had a massive parabolic move, and then you see this massive price correction. It goes down and it comes back up. You've seen all these charts where you see all retail investors, the big investors, then every man and their dog get in, and then it dives off a cliff and everyone's going, oh, it's come back, it will come back, then despair or whatever, and then it goes all the way back down again. This is always the same. But on some occasions we do see that the price goes up, it does correct a bit and it keeps on going. But that's only if you've got a great product and a great brand. And as we can see here, this was the chart from Apple. As we can see, 2008 was obviously the game changer here, and that was all due to the iPhone. Suppose the next question is, did you get caught in the FOMO of the whole price action? There's a lot of people I know that bought in at 16,000 and they've sold. I think if they're just a bit more patient, they would see their money back and a return. And there's a lot of people fudding it as well, there's a lot of reasons behind that as well. And the SEC is obviously one of the big ones. Now, one of the key things that's happened is that they have gone after certain ICOs. Munchie is one and was served with a cease and desist. And we also seen the same with something called ShipChain as well. So again, another cease and desist. Now there is loads of these, there's hundreds of these actually, which has happened. And it creates a little bit of nervousness in the space. Then we got Steven Seagal. He obviously backed an ICO as well, Bitcoin 2 Gen, and that was obviously slapped with a cease and desist order. Now, nothing is going to happen to Steven Seagal, and this is why.
What proofs?
So if you're an 80s kid, you'll know who this guy is. We're talking about buzzwords. ETF. It stands for Exchange Trade Fund. Now, most people won't know what this is. However, here's a little video just to explain what it is.
Exchange-traded funds are the investment vehicle of the moment. Like mutual funds, ETFs let you invest in a wide range of assets, but they are listed on stock exchanges. That means you can buy and sell them throughout the trading day at updated prices. And if you already have a brokerage account, they're cheaper. ETFs are passive. That is, they capture the returns of a whole index, such as the S&P 500, and not just an individual stock, so they offer diversification. They've opened up asset classes that retail investors traditionally couldn't touch. For example, you can match any move in the gold price with a gold ETF without owning gold bars. And they're getting cleverer. Index providers produce new indices to capture specific investing ideas just so ETFs can track them. Want to track high dividend stocks or the growing emerging market middle class? ETFs can do it. How do they work? Traditional ETFs own shares and buy and sell them to reflect moves in the index they're tracking. They also trade derivatives to help them do this. Synthetic ETFs are backed by notes, whose value tracks the index and are underwritten by a counterparty, usually a big bank. So they expose you to the risk that the counterparty fails, as well as the risk that the index falls. There are other risks. Underwriters must trade fast and furious to stop the ETF share prices detaching from the index they track. That mechanism has worked so far, but it's yet to be tested in a crisis.
So obviously with gold they did ETFs as well, and obviously we see a huge rise. And this is why people think Bitcoin, when they implement a Bitcoin ETF, that we will see this rise. And as you can see here, gold went all the way up to 146 billion. I mean, if Bitcoin could get that sort of levels, I mean, the price would just be astronomical. And this is why people think that Bitcoin will go to the moon once the ETF is implied. The 14th of August is a big date to watch out for. If it gets rejected, the next date, I think it's 45 days, will be the 27th of September. So those are two key dates that you really want to watch out for. Tiki Tawari, obviously he is the head of the largest pump and dump group in the world, Palm Beach Confidential. You've probably seen XLM go on an absolute run recently. That was driven by these guys, but this is what he's got to say about the situation.
Hello friends, and welcome to a very quick, very important update. Tika Tawari is talking about $65,000 Bitcoin. Has he gone mad? But it is an announcement that could take Bitcoin up 10x or more from where we are right now. Since 2014, people have been trying to get a ETF, an exchange traded fund, launched. So what am I talking about now? I'm talking about a brand new player that has just filed all the relevant paperwork to get an ETF approved by the SEC. And I am telling you right now, unequivocally, this is the first time I've ever said this, that this particular filer will get approved by the SEC. They will provide the first Bitcoin ETF. The filer, SIBO. the CBOE. I cannot emphasize how important and how much credibility the CBO has. You will see tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars flow into this ETF and, of course, flow into Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem.
Again, some huge forecasts coming in. Then we got Nicholas Merton, aka Data Dash. He's predicting 50k, and some of his reasons, interest rates will continue to rise. I mean, we're seeing it pretty flat in the UK, to be honest. Deutsche Bank will go under by 2018. Let's revisit that at the end of 2018. I think that is a huge statement to put out there. Equities and housing prices will take a massive hit, potentially, and trillions of dollars that need to exit. The SEC will create a Bitcoin ETF. Now, I think what he's trying to say here is that the stock market, if anyone follows the stock market, is due an absolute crash. It's been going on a bull run for about 9 to 10 years, from 2008 when it absolutely took a massive hit. Now, there's a few people that support this as well. Tony Robbins, Ray Dalio, some big names. Ray Dalio runs the largest hedge fund in the world, and he's the most successful hedge fund manager in the world as well. I mean, if you want to find out more about these guys, look at his all-weather portfolio and stuff. But what's going to happen is that money is going to come out. I know a lot of guys that have a lot of money in the banking system as well. And, I think a lot of people will come to Bitcoin for a bit of security. Now, I know that there's a lot of deals going behind closed doors, so a lot of trades on Bitcoin aren't actually happening on exchanges. I know a huge Russian tycoon is associated with one of my hedge fund guys in Switzerland, and I know that he's coming for a large amount of Bitcoin off the exchanges and hedging into Bitcoin. But let's have a look at some of what the professionals are saying. So let's have a look at what some of the experts are saying. So Pantera Capital are claiming that they reckon Bitcoin will be 20k by December 2018. The Fundstrat Global Advisors Group, they reckon 25k by December 2018. They're also calling out an eye-watering 125k Bitcoin by 2022. So some big calls there. Then we've got Max Kaiser. I quite like to watch this guy, actually. He's quite funny. And again, he's saying 28k. So we'll see what happens there. Alistair Milne is saying 35k to 60k by the next block reward halving. Now that does make sense. We do see the price jump when this happens. So again, it could be just another point in time where Bitcoin price will surge. Anthony Pompolino is going for 50k by December 2018, and I do remember that came out, and then a week later Data Dash came out with pretty much the same prediction. John Pfeiffer, again 75k by December 2018, and they pretty much think that's quite realistic for this year. Kay Van Peterson has gone all out here and gone for the 100k by December 2018. Again, he's been very good at guessing the price of Bitcoin over the last several years. I do hope he's right, because I can retire. Then we got Tim Draper and Brian Kelly, and it seems to be, oh, you tell me yours first. No, you tell me yours. Oh, I reckon 250k by 2022. Oh, that's what I was going to go for. So these two are together. Then we got John McAfee going the full hog here, going for the full 7 figures. He reckons we'll have $1 million Bitcoin by December 2020, or he's just snorting a lot of gear. That's the only way I sort of describe where he might have got some of these predictions. But, Bitcoin, as we see it right now, it is unpredictable. We've just gone through some of the professionals, some of the biggest guys in the market making huge amounts of money, and all of their predictions are just way off from each other. And even YouTubers as well, trying to make these big and bold predictions. What will happen is very simple. Some will get it right, and they'll be God's gift, and people go, oh, we got it right, he said this, he said that, and some people will get it wrong. This is a fucking lottery. Nobody really knows where the price is going. You got so many professionals doing it, and they're so far apart from each other, from 20k to 250k. I mean, that's a huge difference. So I think what we need to do is stay very vigilant with the Bitcoin price. So let's hear from good old John and what he's got to say. And just for a bit of fun, Mystic Meg says it's going to be 35k by 2018. Bless her. Now, a lot of us are thinking and dreaming about Bitcoin and the price and where it's going to go. Most of us aren't even sleeping. And there's a lot of people that just don't give a shit. They're still asleep to the rising giant of Bitcoin. And this is the big thing that will hold it back, because we need mass adoption. for this to go forward in a huge way, and hopefully people start to wake up to it. I know a lot of friends that I'm getting texts constantly asking me what's the price of Bitcoin going to be, how much should I invest, and all the rest of it. And I have to go back with the same thing. It's like, you just invest what you can afford to lose. And I do believe that Bitcoin price will continue to rise. I think we're going to hit some turbulent times. It's going to be quite volatile up until the 27th of September. And after that, I think we will start to see a continuous rise after that. My main man that I always go to in terms of predictions is I like to follow Mike Novogratz. Now, this guy's one smart cookie. He's the guy that's bridging the gateways for the pension funds to come into and do, run the hedge funds with and using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and stuff. And for me, he just has a wider view and maybe a bigger picture, if you want to call it, of the whole marketplace. And I think that's why he's been so good at calling the price. So when I'm sort of thinking about the price, I go and have a look and see what Mike Novogratz is thinking. And at the moment, he's saying it's about 5 to 6 years before we see sort of real mass adoption of cryptocurrency. And you know what? I don't think he's far off. I know that when cryptocurrency becomes that big thing, that it's going to go on a 3-year massive run where we will see just this huge adoption and everything will change. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video today. Now I'm just going to talk about my strategy and where I think the price of Bitcoin will be going. So there's a couple of key things. I've got a whole bunch of ICOs. They've got mainnet products and they're coming to fruition in terms of they're going on some big exchanges very, very soon. So I'm going to sell out a lot and get into Bitcoin. Once I've got my Bitcoin, I'm going to wait till the 14th of August. Obviously, that is a big date. Now, the Chicago Board of Options could get this first time round. If they do, we're off to the races. I think we'll see 20, maybe even 35K very, very soon. Now, we'll see the price continue to go. Now, there's two options here. If it doesn't get through first time, then the 27th of September is the next date. So again, I'd probably sell out, do some alt trading, and try and enhance my position in Bitcoin. So say I had 10, try and trade out and get back to 12, for instance. The other thing that we will see is we'll see the alts rally, but only when we see something called the spill. That's when Bitcoin gets to that tipping point and everybody starts to take profit out of Bitcoin, put it in the alts market, hoping that that runs and they can double or triple their money as well. So you've not only gone tenfold or whatever it is in Bitcoin, but then you also want your slice of the pie, the alt market as well. And again, people want to get in early doors because if you get in too late, you might only double up, where on some things you might get 3 or 4 times your money. So we'll see that to start to happen as well. So I've got 2 strategies running. So you've got your Bitcoin sort of strategy and then your altcoin strategy. Now, once Bitcoin hits 35, that will be my sell-up point, and I will sell at least half of my position there, and I will go into the alt markets, because if the price keeps rising to 50, yeah, I miss out on a bit there, but I know that I'm only going to get that 15k on, say, however many Bitcoin I've got. I know if I go into the alts with that, and I can do 3 or 4 fold, that's going to be worth so much more than just holding in Bitcoin. So the hodl strategy does work, but your real thing that you need to do by the end of this year is the number one strategy that I've been doing all year is accumulation. You've got to accumulate. You've got to take advantage of those little trades. There's a lot of the small alts at the moment where, I've been trading like tiny margins on them. But what I've done is I've built up my position so they're bigger and bigger and bigger. Now at the moment they only feel like they're really small, like $200, $600 wins. But when they come to fruition with my sort of price predictions where I think they're going to go, that is going to be worth 10-fold, 20-fold, and even one I have at the moment, I think 90-fold. Again, I'm going to do a video very, very soon with some of my price predictions and some of the coins I think are ready to explode. So keep your eyes out for that video. But back to Bitcoin, I think what we'll see it probably hit about 50k this year, but we'll see it come back down and settle at the Mystic Meg price of around 35k. That's my personal prediction. I think that's what's going to happen. And my strategy is driven by that. Again, if things change in the market, I will change my strategy because this is so volatile. We're in sort of no man's land, really. This is uncharted territory, but at the same time, it's exhilarating, it's exciting, and it's great to be part of such a a wider community that's out there to try and change the world with cryptocurrency, which is just amazing. So really appreciate you tuning into my videos. Please like and subscribe. Obviously, I've got some new social media now, which will appear somewhere on the screen, so you can follow me on Twitter and check out www.icodiscountclub.com. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you on my next video.